Today we are talking about growth being all about mindsets. This is what our discussion is. We've got about 25 minutes of content and a little bit of Q&A, and we will be done by half past the hour. So what do we mean? What do I mean growth is about mindsets? Well, let's talk a little bit about this, and we're going to start with asking the simple question of what? What is it that we're talking about today? And the real question is, what is real growth? You see, we live in a world where we've conditioned a lot by our education system that growth is about knowledge and skill. It's about you've got to gain the right skills, you've got to grow, and then everything will be sorted. I mean, right to the point where I've had clients who kind of go, so what are you missing? And I want to gain confidence. How are you going to gain confidence? Well, if I gain a qualification, I'll be confident. And then I know people with PhDs who aren't confident. So, it doesn't necessarily work that way. So what is real growth? Well, it's more than adding new knowledge and qualifications. It's more than developing new skills. It's more than just that impetus, getting started, just get going. It's more than willpower to keep going. Try harder. Try harder is a big mentality that so many of us suffer from. It's more than all of that. So what is real growth? Real growth is about shifting our limiting beliefs and changing our mindsets. And if we think of this even as leaders, maybe as parents, maybe as people who influence others as part of our career, maybe as managers, maybe as people who influence in the workplace, maybe even people who influence their friends, if we are looking for our people to grow, the people that we are influencing, then what we are looking at is shifting their limiting beliefs, changing their mindsets. Now that gets quite tricky because you can't force it. This is something you've got to create the environment for and then get it to change. So we've got all these ideas. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share the screen. And what I'm going to be doing here is giving you a little bit of a poll, an AHA Slides poll. Let me just also switch to the poll slide. There we go. So in AHA Slides, we have this. I'm going to put it onto the presentation mode now and also go to full screen. So for you to join in, you can either go to ahaslides.com/MIU for Morpheus Intelligence Update. You can do that in capital letters, I think it works. Or you can look at this QR code. But I'm going to get as many of you to participate. So if you've got your phone handy, you can just do it that way. But if you want to do it on another screen on your computer, you can do it that way. And we're going to play a little bit with this concept of what is growth and how does growth actually work. So thank you very much, Cindy, for putting the link into the chat for those of you who want to connect that way. So our first poll question today is this. Where have you focused your growth efforts over the last year? So you can join in with the AHA Slides and you can give a bit of a comment there. I'm even going to join in myself. And where have you focused your growth efforts over the last year? Is it knowledge, skills, action, trying, shifting beliefs, or changing mindsets? Let's play a little bit with that. Okay. Very interesting. So I'm only giving you this time the ability to use two, but I think this is so quite good. Okay, so a couple of people, the changing mindsets and the taking action seem to be at the top. Skills. Okay, changing mindset seems to be the biggest one. Clearly my kind of crowd. Okay, developing skills, taking action. Right. Okay, taking action is now got up there with the changing mindsets one. All right, so there we have it. We have a fairly small percentage are the adding knowledge. Developing skills seems to be much more significant, but the taking action and changing mindsets right at the top. Shifting beliefs. Now, this is a really interesting one, and it kind of works hand in hand with the changing mindsets one. And so I put quite a lot of work into that one myself. Oh, taking action has now gone ahead. Okay. Okay. But adding knowledge is definitely at the bottom. That's really interesting. So that's a great contradiction to the way that I think, I've often been conditioned. And adding knowledge and qualifications, we think, is where a lot of growth lies. And what I'm going to show you is all of that becomes automatic when we do the mindsets and beliefs area. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, and I'm going to return to the main presentation, and we're going to explore this just a little bit more. So let's have a look here. So why? Why is mindset the key for our growth? Why do we need mindset change? And I've got three main reasons I'm going to give you now. And the first one is this: it's our autopilot. So if you can imagine in an aircraft, in particular a smallish aircraft that's got an autopilot system, they're a little bit more complicated on the big airliners. It's quite simple. You put a bearing into the autopilot, you tune it, and it goes in a particular direction. If you then just veer off that direction, the moment you let go, it will pull you back onto that direction. And that's what mindsets do. So even if we find ourselves getting to a place where we now know this is what we want to do, the moment we take a breather, the moment we let go that control, the moment we stop trying harder, and by the way, the research is very clear on willpower. Willpower is a limited, finite resource. You will run out. And if you try to do everything by willpower, you will struggle. You've got to actually, what they found in the research was this, that willpower, the people who are best at willpower actually use it for only very specific things. They realize that there are other things that they need to put in place, mindsets as an example, and that will get them through most issues. But the willpower one, they're going to limit for specific things because they see it as a finite resource. And so when we are wanting to change things, wanting to shift things, we want to shift the mindset. Then we don't have to worry so much about willpower. If the mindset is changed, then everything starts to change. And so, so that's the second point, is that it's not just our autopilot, but if we can shift it, then we're on the right trajectory. And then even if we occasionally veer off, if we release again, we're back on the right trajectory. And so the mindset trumps everything. And when we shift what we believe about ourselves, when we shift our mindsets, we suddenly open up vistas of unimagined possibilities. And that's what we're starting to do. Then, if we need knowledge, it's easy. If we need skills, it's easy. If we need to get going, it's easy. Because once the mindset change has happened, everything else just flows from that and follows that. And that's why mindset change is the key to growth, the key to build. And build is our theme for February. And there'll still be a couple more videos around build coming up this week. Let's talk about who. So who needs this kind of growth? Who needs this kind of growth? Well, I'm going to give you three possible kinds of people. The first one is anyone who wants to change something significant in their lives. They want to shift something from one thing to another. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's a health-related issue. Maybe it's a career issue. But anybody who wants to make a significant shift needs mindset changes as part of that build, part of that growth. The second kind of person who needs this kind of growth is anyone who wants to leave a lasting impact on their worlds and their people. So parents, for example, who want to leave a legacy, managers and leaders who want to leave a legacy with their people, maybe world changers, who want to leave a legacy. All of these people are looking for a mindset change because everything else will flow from that. And finally, anyone who wants to be a conscious leader. So if you want to be a conscious leader, if you want to make a difference in the world, maybe you want to, and maybe I can talk about that for a moment. A conscious leader is somebody who's been on a journey with themselves. They are very self-aware, self-conscious. Their first level of consciousness is self. Their second level of consciousness is other. They are very aware of their people, their team, those that they're trying to work with. and influence. And then there's a third level of consciousness, and that is our greater environment, whether it's the community we're in, the planet as a whole, but that other level of consciousness. And for many, there's a fourth level, which would be a spiritual consciousness, which in some ways comes back to self-consciousness as well. And so if you want to be a conscious leader, you probably have some mindsets that you ideally want to shift at some point in your life. So that's the who. That's the who. Now let's talk about when. What about the timing? And I'm going to look at this from three perspectives. The first perspective is now. When? It's now. Why is it now? It's now because one day when does not exist. One day when does not exist. In fact, I coined a phrase for this many years ago. I'm probably not unique in the phrase, though probably others have done it too. I call it the Lotto Mentality. When we live under the Lotto mentality, we live under the, well, one day when I win the lottery, one day when I have enough money, one day when I'm thin enough, one day when I'm rich enough, one day when I have enough friends, one day when I'm qualified enough. And all of that means nothing. Now is all that exists. Being present right now is all that exists. And I used to live a life of one day when. And reaching this point where I go, no, now. And so when do I want to shift my mindsets? As I become aware of them. I want to be very aware of all of that. And the second item, so other than now, what's the rush? What's another part of the when? It is every day. It's a daily thing. Shifting mindsets requires consistency. So I'll tell you a little bit about my practice, but basically the key here is consistency is more important than effort. Consistency is more important than effort. So for me, I have a daily practice. I call it a ritual. I don't call it a routine because I don't like routines, but I do like rituals. But I have a daily ritual practice which involves some breathing exercises, some mindfulness stuff, and I talk through the mindsets that I'm wanting to shift. And I'm going to take you through a bit more of that in the next slide. But basically, by being consistent, I'm seeing change. So there's a particular area of mindset change I've been working on every single day for the last year. And I am bearing the fruit of it right now. Things are falling in place as the mindset change is starting to result in a manifestation, a change that is happening in my world. So consistency, way more important than effort in shifting mindsets. And then finally, another piece of when is be patient. Be patient. You will be rewarded. It's so easy for us to get sort of stuck in, I need this change. But it's one of those things that gains momentum. And Ryan shared a beautiful illustration for us last month. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment when I talk about the how. So in terms of the when, now is all that exists. Every day, consistency is what will change it. And finally, patience. You will be rewarded if you keep being consistent. All right, so now let's get on to the final piece. Before we do that, let's do another poll. And so the poll this time I'm going to bring up again on AHA slides. So if you've still got that handy, I'll just change the slide and then you'll pick it up again. And the poll this time, I'm going to ask you to type in some things. And what I'm going to ask you to type in, except it seems to have shared the wrong thing. Give me a moment. You'd think I do this for a living. Okay, let's try that again. Here we go. So I'm going to go to the next slide now. And this time, my question is, why would you like to change some of your mindsets? And you can enter, I think, 3. And then if you see ones that pop up on the screen that you want to emphasize, you can re-enter those and they will grow. So let's build a bit of a word cloud. Why would you like to change some of your mindsets? So if you've lost the page, it's ahaslides.com/MIU, Morpheus Intelligence Update. Freedom, I love it. I love it. Relief, parenting, joy, leadership, growth, good. You like any of the words that come up, you can type them in again and they will grow in size. I love freedom being right in the middle here. Growth, okay, good. Nice one. Any new ones? Direction. Better version of myself. Yes, indeed. I join you with that. Join you with that completely. Growth. Happiness, peace. Leadership is nice and strong. So it looks like growth, freedom, and leadership are the biggest ones here. Oh, peace also got a bit bigger. Nice. You like any other words? Type them in again. They will grow. Okay. Release, power, relief. Contribution. Nice one. Okay. Power. Indeed. Mindset change is exceptionally powerful. Joy. Yes. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Wow. This is just getting better and better. Well-being, health, tenacity. Nice one. Yes, a mindset change makes you tenacious. I don't know who had that insight, but absolutely correct. I support and celebrate that. Fulfillment, I see. Legacy is growing as well. Nice one. Growth, leadership, legacy. Fun. I love it. I love it. The world is so much more fun with the right mindsets. That is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That is brilliant. Now fun has become the biggest one. How cool is that? Yes, indeed. I certainly having a lot more fun. One of the mindsets I've been working on is, in fact, fun. And that started to emerge tremendously in my life in the last while. Having so much more fun. Don't think I've had fun like I'm having fun at the moment since I was a child. So, brilliant. Wow, what a brilliant word cloud. I love that fun has come up as the biggest one. And then big ones around it are growth, legacy, peace, leadership, freedom. Beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to stop the share for now. When we will add this to the handout, I think we'll take a picture of it and add it to the handout. So we'll get that done as soon as possible. All right. So let's get on to the last item. And the last item here is how. How. And I just want to actually show you, because I think this picture is so cool that my designer came up with, that you can actually see the idea here of the how being this one thing that impacts everything else and pushes itself all the way through. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about now. So let's talk about how. How do mindsets shift? So the first thing is that we need to be present. Being present is the first piece of mindset shift. So what does that actually mean? Well, being present, being real, I did a video about this last week, so I'm sorry to repeat if you did watch that video, but it's really about looking for patterns. And I want to tell you a little story because this is, I thought it was a fascinating story. Eric Edmeades tells the story of often he ends up speaking at schools, high schools. And as part of his speech, he does a little trick. He says, okay, so let's make the noise. I want you all shout out as loud as you want to. What is the noise of we're going to order pizza? And everybody's, wow, all positive and cheering and all the rest of it. And he says, okay, and now the pizza arrives in abundance and we gorge ourselves on it and we're all, loving this pizza and it's all going crazy. And he says, okay, now I want you to make the sound. What is the sound of what it sounds like 30 minutes after getting the pizza? And it's like, oh. And you're going, okay, so was the mindset that pizza, that initial thing of cheering for pizza and the later one of groaning, which one are we wanting to live our lives from? And this isn't an anti-pizza crusade. I'm just giving an example of in my personal life and my struggles with my own obesity and things where so many mindsets have existed where I have assumed certain things and then been disappointed every time. So I want to be present to that. I want to be aware. What is the program mindset that I want to change? I want to be aware and think that through and go, so what do I actually want? And I'll give you a simple example. One of my personal favorites is fruit salad. When I eat fruit salad, it's like my entire body celebrates. It's like it goes, yeah, and it stays like that. Half an hour later, it's still celebrating. It's like, I got nutrients. I got what I'm looking for. That being present, that being aware results in a mindset shifting. And so being present is my first tip on how do we shift mindsets. My second tip, very similar, it's awareness. And the awareness, I'm going to give you a little exercise. It's one of my favorite exercises, and I know some of the people here, Candace and Cindy, have played with this before. So, very simple little exercise that is an awareness exercise. And the awareness we're focusing on now is the gaps between what we know to be true and the way we behave. That's an awareness that I think is really, really important. So my little one that I love doing is I call head, heart, gut, hips. And it works as follows. Let's take a particular issue. So let me take, let me go back to the pizza one. Okay. In my head, do I think pizza is good for me? Probably not. Okay. Do I believe that I'm okay with being deprived of pizza? What do I believe in my heart? No, I don't want to be deprived of pizza. Okay. What about my gut? What's my intuition about pizza? Actually, it's not going to be that cool. Okay. What about my hips? Where do I want to go? Hips are the kind of where our center is. And so what is the direction? What's the action? Well, I go, hang on, there's a misalignment here. My heart says, pizza or I'm deprived. My head says, but Ian, you know that this doesn't work for you. The gut says, actually, intuitively, it doesn't work for me. So I have got a misalignment somewhere. I've got a limiting belief that needs to change. Okay? And so this little test changes then. Okay, so now that I realize that, what do my hips now want to do? What action do I want to take? Oh, I want to go and get fruit salad. So it shifts something. So that awareness starts to shift something. So do the head, heart, gut, hips test. And the head is, what is my reasoning? What's my thinking about this? The heart is, what is my belief? What is the belief that drives me? The gut is, do I have an intuition? Do I have a feel? And by the way, most of the time when I do this, my head and my gut align and my heart disagrees. Then I go, okay, that's the shift that needs to take place. It's a limiting belief of some kind. Okay. And by the way, we could even take it a step further and say, so this heart that wants pizza, what does it really want? And then you could go, oh, maybe it's just looking for some kind of congratulation. Maybe it's, some kind of a reward for good job done. Maybe it's looking for connection. It's feeling lonely. And we used to, when we have pizza, it's communal. What exactly is all of that? Okay. So, yeah. So I'm very happy for pizza to be fun. So, great little ideas, isn't it? So I want to go on to a third option for the how. And the third option for the how is this. It's all about affirmations or declarations of truth or manifestations. And so once we've got this awareness that there's a misalignment between some of our behavior and what we really want in life. We then want to figure out, so what is the truth? And I know a lot of people talk about affirmations, and if you want to find out more, there's somebody called Marissa Peer who's an expert on this. You'll find tons of YouTube videos from Marissa Peer, a very interesting person. I prefer the phrase declaration of truth, because what I've found in my life is that it's this is the truth. There's something in my mindset that doesn't get it, but this is the truth. So why don't I speak that truth over myself every single day? So a simple example is one of mine is, and I'm being a bit vulnerable here, but one of mine is, I am joyfully quirky. I am fun. I'm joyfully quirky. I am fun. And I speak that over myself every single day. And guess what? Something is shifting about my acceptance of being fun and quirky and full of joy. So it's a declaration of truth. And I say this out every day. If you're bold enough, do it out loud. It's even more, it works even better. I shifted that about 6 months ago, where I started to do my declaration of truth out loud. And then finally, if you've got a closest tribe, people who are supporting you in becoming who you want to be as a parent, as a teacher, as a leader, as a conscious leader, as a manager, are there people who actually support you in that in your community, and they might be rooting for you? Share it with them. Let them also be in on these declarations of truth. I mean, not every day, although you could actually, but some kind of a way of sharing that information. And then finally, my fourth point about the how is this: make yourself your number one job every day. Now, we did speak about this in last month's intelligence update, but I want to just emphasize it again. One of the ways you do that is, number one, is just acknowledge that you're worth it. I'm enough. I'm enough. Make yourself your number one job every day. You are worth it. I'm enough. The second thing is, have a daily reminder. Now, I know Ryan sends me a message, a group of us a message every morning saying that he's making himself his number one job. Marie has a reminder on her phone that comes up for the day. So have some kind of a reminder. But I want to just restate Ryan's story he told us last month, which is that it's like pulling a train. If you initially might think you're making absolutely no progress, but actually over time it will gain momentum and take a life of its own, and the ripple effect, the change will be permanent. The change will be everywhere. And so that is that idea. So thank you very much. Let me wrap up quickly. I see I've only got 2 minutes.